today we're looking more to a cinematic point of view, which is part of gaming still. So in this case, what I have created is a scene of Roman ruins using assets from Quixel Megascan. So this project will help us explore various cinematics techniques in Unreal Engine. So basically, we will explore basically how to go from something like this, so white boxing, to something like this. Okay, so hopefully we'll be able to cover everything. The idea is to show you what is my process and show it basically, show how it works from white boxing to finished. I will probably not be covering all of that, but maybe some section for each process. But yeah, the idea is basically to guide you for what is my process and my experience in cinematics as well. So all the assets for Roman ruins, as I said, have been sourced from Quixel Megascan. These are high quality assets that provide fantastic starting point for creating a realistic environment. I always use them in all of my cinematic projects. I've published a couple of short movies that have been, one of them has been selected for a couple of movie festivals. So it was very good to have an Unreal product being selected for cinema events, which was pretty nice. And I guess that the realism of Quixel Megascan really helped with that. So when I start my process, when I start working on a project, I always start from a concept and stick to an idea and a set of techniques. One of the key techniques that we will explore today is the center shot, and we'll delve a bit more on this later. Games in cinema. So basically, this is an example of the center shot, as you can see. Lines that reach and bring the art to the center. And the rule of thirds is something that is very, very much used in cinema and in video games as well. So the reason I am referring to these is because in Unreal, particularly when you go to the cinema view, you can set up grades. So for example, if you want to use the rule of thirds, which has been used partially in this piece, you can set up grades. This is something that I always do in the white boxing process. And in particular for this piece, I have been using the center shot. So it is a very simple shot where you can see that the camera is moving very slowly, vertically on the ear assets, which would be this Roman statue. For this piece, something that's we wanted to have where, like, for example, leading lines. So it's not only basically the center shot, but we also have like perspective guiding lines that will take the eye, the center. So as you can see, these columns have been used to basically draw lines. The center, we also have lines that basically go from the this pathway, this straight into it. So we want to basically leading lines. We have used depth, so there are like foregrounds elements that will basically give sense of depth, and there are background elements as well. So this is something that, of course, you start to think about when you try to conceptualize a shot, either for video games or as well as movies. So, for example, we have perfect example of these in video games. So here you can see practice. In the foreground, you can see that the eye is immediately going to the center. This statue is between two spears. So it is like it's basically already framed within the frame. We have other example for the eye can immediately go, for example, in this cinematic to the sandwich. Oh, sorry, the hamburger in the middle. Yeah, these are just a couple of examples, but there is also research for balance. The element in your scene, they don't need to be perfectly symmetrical, but you are looking for some balance. For example, in this scene, you can see that this part of the ear, the elements are not the same that you can see in this part of the ear, but Yeah, maybe you have one of it that is bigger and cover the same volume of this 4 or 5. So you're looking for that balance of balance as well. So there is also the use of negative space, which will lead the eye to the statue. So as you can see, all around the statue, there is a white space. So I've used fog, but it can also be like a different difference of lighting. There is also be like a different in color as well, in color palette and color scheme. We will not cover too much color again because that would be just a lesson on itself. But just to give you a few examples of a few techniques that have been used here to conceptualize this piece. So already mentioned contrast, light, color, texture differences for negative spaces, and rule of thirds as well. So as I was saying before, when we go try to have a grid 3 by 3, you could see that, for example, the center. Okay, we have basically the hero assets within these two sectors. But it is a fundamental, the rule of thirds is a fundamental composition principle in visual art. So it is a concept that suggests that an image can be divided into 9 equal parts by 2 equally spaced horizontal lines and 2 equally spaced vertical lines. So the theory is that if you place points of interest alongside these lines or at an intersection of them, your photo becomes more balanced and will be enabled more natural interaction. So for example, we will say maybe this sector has some balance. You can see there is a column here, there is a column here. It doesn't have to be perfectly precise. It really depends from your eye as well and from a matter of taste. It gives you guidelines, but it's not like an art and fast rule. So while you can now create visually appealing composition, there are plenty of situations where breaking it can result in stunning images. Did that answer the question? Or do you have any further questions? Okay, nice. So in this scene, going now, so we covered the conceptualization, which is a very important part that sometimes I feel is a bit, I wouldn't say skipped, but sometimes someone don't put much thought into that. And that's basically the skeleton, that's the foundation of our scene. And it works for cinematics, for movies, for video games. It was a very good, well-planned cinematic. I think it's very important when we create a story, because it's about storytelling, and there must be a very good and strong foundation on that. But now that we covered the conceptualization and the theory of how to build that, we basically can start by the beginning. May I ask what is your usual project setup? So how do you have basically a way you usually set up your project? Do you have any specific configuration or tips that you find useful usually when you create your scenes into Unreal? So I sent a landscape plane. It is in the downloadable links basically at the top of this chart. As you can see, the plane that I sent is it is a quite big plane. It has 132,496 vertices, and that is exactly the point of having a plane that is that big. So basically, when you import the plane, you want to make sure that you don't have granite. You need to have this unchecked because it will. The point is exactly having a lot of things, a lot of vertices for which we can paint. So that is basically something that we need for this project. But yeah, we can start with a new level, and we can start from scratch. So what we started with is basically having this plane. I usually set it up at 0. What we want to do is, as we did before, having like some sort of blockout. So as we did here, we can go into shapes and using cubes or spheres to literally create clear terrain. So what we did before is having a cinematic viewport, and as I did for this project is literally knowing more or less blocking out these hero assets and blocking it out. So we know that more or less the statue will be there. As I did here, you can see that we have stairs, we have columns. We did know that's more or less the leading lines would bring to the center. So you can basically build a scene, as I was showing you. Using cubes. So do you use this technique for video games as well? Usually, so I know that's a bit you do.
Yeah, definitely. So you've got the shapes and you've got the modeling mode, haven't you? Where you can do like you use cube grid and tools like that to do really advanced blocking out. So we have a whole lab where we go through that, but yeah, also these shapes.
Yes, absolutely. Well, for games, maybe it is even more advanced. But you can go advanced with cinematics as well, depending really what you want to achieve. So this block out, you can go with something like very simple like this, but of course you can go with you can even like model particular assets and then modify them whatever you like, even using like 3D software. So the second step. So once you have something like this, blockout, like this, the second step. So if you go to bridge, you can go to surfaces, and this is a very, very powerful tool. So you basically have whatever surface material instance you might need and you might want, and you can do up to 3 different materials, and you can create a blend material up to 3 plus the pulp. So I will show you how to do that. So you simply click on one of the materials if you're going for cinematics. Well, you have low quality ones as well. So it really depends from an optimization standpoint. But you can go low quality. I usually go highest quality for cinematics because, of course, you want to have a very good quality. For that, you need to sign in with your, I think your Epic account will be fine. And you download the materials you want. As I said, for my project, what I have used are these assets. So we have the grassy mud, grassy soil, and rocky wiregrass. So once you have downloaded this, you can basically select them all. So you can filter if you want. So by going here, you can go into material. I can filter by material instances if you want. And well, these are nice trick to have them all basically selected at once if you go into your surfaces. And so if you're using 5.1, I believe you can do it this way. So you could potentially select all of them. Going into bridge, you can see these like 3 spots, this bar here. So you open up a menu, and by having them all selected, you create a blend material, a material blend. You can rename it, you can select the destination path, and basically you will have that created in a folder. So that's not what I did in this instance, because in 5.2 it's slightly different. So you would basically select create one material instance, create the blend material, and as you can see, you basically would have just one base layer that would look the same for all 3 of them. all three of the layers. So what would happen? What would need to happen? So if you're using 5.2, basically what you need to do is literally go into the folder for each surface. You need basically to get each texture map to its basically to its different sections. So you will have a base layer that needs to be here. You have an ARD or ORD map that needs to be here, and the normal map. So you need to do this for each one of them.